Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is anybody taping right now? We are being televised by TCTV. I just wanted for the record to identify anybody that was taping. Any public comments at this time? Yes, sir. Come on up. You can identify yourself for the record.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jeffrey Bennett, 77 Patriots Road, Templeton. I am also a member of the advisory committee. I am speaking tonight as a resident.
Okay.
I heard you were looking for some comments. Participation. Last town meeting, we passed a bylaw referencing the Veterans Advisory Board.
Yep.
Section 4, under reports. The committee shall annually file a report on its work to include such recommendations as it deems worthy of consideration with the Board of Selectmen in December of each year. I looked under my town government. The last time a meeting was even posted was April 17th, 2018. That meeting was canceled. Under the town meeting website, under boards and committees, there is one member listed. It's Mike Vard. I looked at the calendar for postings from last May till present. No meetings are posted. I checked on the bulletin board on my way in, outside the front door. There's nothing posted there.
Okay.
So I don't know how that bylaw can be met if the committee is apparently not meeting. It's not posting any meetings. So I in looking at that bylaw, and since the codification and a lot of bylaw changes are on the draft warrant for this upcoming town meeting, I made a public records request February 20th, 2019. I emailed it to Holly Young, and one thing I asked for was a copy of the report of the Veterans Advisory Board per Templeton General Bylaw. I cited the article and what it says. Town Administrator Carter Terenzini got back to me on February 22nd. And a quote, "As of this date, I do not have a report from the Veterans Advisory Board. My understanding is that they did not have a quorum for the evening. They were to finalize it this past week. I shall forward it upon its receipt." Now, I know, and the law is pretty clear on this, you can't give me a record that you don't have. But how is a committee going to meet when I can't find any listing for enough members for there to be a board or committee to exist? They have not posted any agendas for a public meeting, and I know they usually meet over at the American Legion, but regardless, they used to post, and they did post up until April of 2018, and I believe we have a former member here at the meeting tonight. But so how are they going to provide a report when the committee doesn't seem to exist? How is the town administrator going to give me a report? How is this committee was going to meet back in February when there is no meetings posted? And I understand, I've had a conversation with Carter and stuff, and it appears, and if you look through the codification stuff, I think there's a proposal to eliminate that requirement out of the bylaw and incorporate it in the other bylaw that says all committees and stuff will report to town meeting. But how was I gonna get a copy of a report from a board that doesn't seem to exist? And there's no members. It's, these are the kind of things that sometimes, well, they keep me awake. They keep me busy looking, and that's just for you to look into. I don't expect you to answer to me tonight, or
Well,
it's just,
I wouldn't be able to
I'm just
answer you
pointing that
tonight.
out to y'all.
I appreciate that. I wouldn't be able to answer you tonight, but,
It's,
so,
I don't know how I was gonna get a report for something that doesn't seem to exist.
okay.
My second item, and
You
this,
have more than one? Okay.
and this goes back a little bit, but it concerns a vote of the annual town meeting May 13th, 2017, for a capital item, and a follow-up for a special town meeting, November 14th, 2017. Again, I sent an email on December 5th, 2018, as I was looking through the monthly expenditure report from the town accountant that's provided to the Selectmen Advisory Committee, and it's on the website, and anybody can find it if they want
Absolutely.
to look for it. And listed under there was a group of special town articles. That is, that's not department budgets, it's an article by itself that town meetings ask for money. They vote to appropriate X amount of dollars for a specific item. And until that item is bought or that vote is rescinded, that money sits there.
Right.
Much like the money for the town's scholarship fund. You can see money for 2015.
Right.
It's appropriated for a specific thing, and it can't be spent on nothing else. So it sits there until
Absolutely.
it's done. So I asked about that. My real question is, did Templeton buy a new dump body for a 1984 10-wheeler Mack truck? Because that was the issue. May 13th, 2017, on a motion duly made and seconded, the town voted to appropriate the sum of $172,500 for a program of capital purchases. One of those items is a dump body for a 1984 Mack 10-wheeler, $17,500. When I saw the money was spent, as of the November expenditure report, I emailed Carter and I asked him, and he replied, no, the town did not buy a new dump body for a 1984 Mack. It did, however, buy a dump body, as we advised people we would with those monies in seeking approval of $160,000 for a six-wheeler. So I fast forward to the special town meeting. I look at the warrant. The motion is, and that's the only thing that means anything, on a motion duly made and seconded, the town voted to appropriate the sum of $167,500 for a program of capital expenditures, generally identified below. $7,500 for boiler replacement, a six-wheel dump truck for $160,000. The voter's guide for the special town meeting, November 14th, 2017, is Article 7. And in the summary, it does state the $160,000 will be, and this is to replace, it says, our 1994 six-wheel dump truck. So the body was for a 1984 10-wheeler. It's a bigger capacity dump body. It's a longer dump body, two different dump bodies. And you were not, it says, it asked for a dump truck. You were buying a truck with a dump body on it. You weren't buying a cab and chassis, which you can do. It says our 1994 six-wheel truck has deteriorated and it probably won't make it through the winter season. Totally understandable. The $160,000 will be supplemented with the monies we originally planned to use to buy a new dump body for it, indicating to me the 1994 six-wheeler, not a 10-wheeler. So town meeting voted at the annual town meeting to appropriate $17,500 to buy a new dump body to put on a 1984 Mack 10-wheeler. And a dump body can be transferred from truck to truck to truck if you're smart about it. I really wasn't in favor of putting that new dump body on that old truck, but seeing how you could reuse the dump body, if that's what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do.
So what's the question?
So the anticipated motion in here was, I move to appropriate the sum of $167,500 for a program of capital expenditures, and to meet said appropriation, a transfer of said sum of free cash. So the motion on the warrant and in the voter's guide said $160,000 for a dump truck. The money was gonna come from free cash, not the dump body. So, and my final question is, how did monies that were specifically appropriated for a specific item get used for something else? How did the town accountant approve using that money to pay another bill? when I believe if you look up the various Mass General laws that describe the duties of a town accountant,
I got you.
the weekly warrant and the payment of bills is, one, determine if it's a legal bill. Two, determine if there's enough money to cover that invoice or bill. And three, that it's charged to the right fund or account. Since this money, 17.5, was appropriated, directed by town meeting to buy a dump body that wouldn't fit on a six-wheel because it would be too long, too big, that money was spent on something
Okay,
other than what it was appropriated for.
understood. Well, let me look into it, and
So,
I'll get back with you, okay?
and we talk about, and we've had a talk of the town, and Carter had town clerk, town moderator, and there was a meeting here, there was one televised. How do we get people to go to town meeting? Well, when they show up for town meeting and they're asked for something and they vote it, that vote should be honored and respected. And
course.
it shouldn't be spent on something else.
Well, let me look into it first before we
Okay.
make any
Right.
first judgments as
But
for
I
where the money
just,
went.
You know, again,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I make a statement on that? I can say a few years back, it went to town meeting. It was voted no to buy the Department of Public Works a vehicle. They went a roundabout way and they used Chapter 90. So it happens. We've all been there, we've all
but
seen
that,
it.
see, they were asked to appropriate money to
I
buy
got
a
you.
truck, and they said no.
I got you.
So legally,
Right.
and I was totally against it, because I spoke on this
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday. I was totally against that every time.
Okay.
The law does allow you to use Chapter 90 money to buy equipment
Yeah, we're
for
trying to
certain
get-
things.
trying to get out of
certain
that habit.
Guidelines. Yeah, but concrete mixes, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally against it. And that is, you're right, it's a slap in the face against.
Because your voters said
They asked,
no.
said no, you shouldn't go
Yeah,
out
well,
and
they
go
went
around
through
them.
another door,
It's not the
and
first
that's
time,
okay, it
but
happens.
Right.
This
Let
is
me-
a specific vote for a specific amount of money.
I understand.
And I think there is
So is
a
that.
question, a legitimate question, how that money was allowed to be spent for something else.
Okay.
By, other than you signing the warrant, you, the selectman, somebody else okayed it. And how is that legally possible?
Okay, let me look
Let's,
into it, Jeff, and
thanks. All right.
I'll have you, I'll have an answer for you, or invite you back to the next Board of Select meeting so you can sit there so I can give you the appropriate answers that you're looking for,
Okay,
okay?
I'm easy to find.
I know you are.
right.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, no worries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Any other public comments? I see none. Paul, did you get all that? Thank you. Any objections of moving the public hearing up at this time for the show cause hearing? Any objections? Okay, good. So we're gonna move the show cause hearing continuation up to, as of 6:43. Can you come on up and have a seat? That would be great, sir. We'll put the hearing into order here. How are we doing today?
Good, how are you?
Great. So, we have a continuation for the show cause hearing from a couple weeks ago. Looking for more information. Obviously, you got some more information. We got some more information. What you say, how you say now?
Well, in light of the information that I received at the last meeting, which I hadn't previously seen, I was pretty much blindsided by it.
Okay.
I have since contacted a lawyer, I've retained a lawyer. Unfortunately, he is in a trial, a 3-week trial, so he had asked me to ask for a continuance. I'm not looking to go far ahead, I'm not looking to put this off, I just want to be represented fairly. I'm aware the meetings are on Wednesdays, so he said April 3rd, April 10th, April 17th, he would be available. I had talked with Officer Smith, he agreed that 4:10 would work for him, and Carter also agreed that that date is open. So I-
4:10?
Yes, so I would ask to please continue it to that date, so I can be represented.
Okay, for me. Doug?
Yeah.
John?
We need a motion to do
We'll have a motion to extend till 4:10.
So moved?
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, great. Let me, before we do that, let me, any other questions for him before we get out of the hearing, before we make a motion?
Well, he's asking for a continuance, so I don't want to ask any questions
Okay,
without his attorney present.
okay, great. All right, let's get out of the hearing, then I have that motion and I have a second. Do I have any other discussion?
If there's any additional
Yes, sir.
Gary, if there's any additional material, wouldn't you take that opportunity now to distribute it?
Will your attorney be submitting any information to us ahead of time?
I do not think anything that I already didn't give you last week. I can't say for sure, though. I mean, I would have, I don't know what his plan is.
Well, I would just hate to have any surprises that night, and then we
Well,
have to ask for another
No,
continuation.
I will ask him to get in touch with
Forward
everybody
it to the
first.
town administrator,
Yes, absolutely,
please.
absolutely.
To be forwarded to us.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
All right, thank
In a
you.
timely manner, so that we have, like,
Yep.
say our meeting is on a Wednesday, if we could have it by Thursday evening,
Well, my plan is,
whatever he may present on your behalf, that would be fantastic. I've done the homework, unfortunately, I missed the last meeting. I've done the recent homework through the Templeton PD and whatever you have, submitted, so I would appreciate time to be able to review all of that
absolutely.
prior to April 10th, if that's
Absolutely.
possible.
I already talked to him, and I told him
Okay, great.
if I get approved today, I will talk to him tonight, and we'll get
Okay.
together.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Any other
Thanks,
discussion?
Thank you.
Any other discussion? See none. Need a roll call vote. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane? I mean, Julie?
Yes?
And I vote yes as well. Thank you. I'll see you on the 10th.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Are we coming out of
Thank
the
you.
public hearing?
Thanks, Detective. I already came out.
Okay,
You have to come out before you make the vote.
okay.
You all set?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
New business appointment introductions, Mr. Tanzini?
Mr. Chairman, Cheryl, if you'd, I'd like to introduce to you Chriselle Bango, who is joining our team as foreman in the Buildings and Grounds Division.
Oh, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, I'm sure you
Sure
will.
you will.
I'm sure you will.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Take a look at Scout Hall, it's come a long way.
Let's see.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are we moving on to minutes?
Yes. Meeting minutes for 2/27/2019.
I would like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 27th, 2019, as written.
Have a motion of a second?
Second.
A motion second. Any other discussion? I see none. Julie?
Abstain.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Action on the operating procedure policy 2019-02. Mr. Tanzini?
The board's policy is that individual policies should either emanate in a workshop or be referred to and discussed in workshop. In this instance, we are requesting your action this evening, and paragraph 6, that addition is something that we discussed as we talk about trying to enhance the debate, involve people more, and provide them with up-to-date information. This amendment would recognize that a well-informed candidate can enhance the debate on important public issues. Also, that if a candidate who's elected to the office has been getting acclimated and informed as to the issues before them, when they take office, they can more readily take votes, having been better prepared along the way. So my proposal is that after the town clerk certifies a candidate for election, and in this case, we would trickle this down, we'd ask all the boards to do this, but in our instance, we would be most specifically concerned with selectmen, that we would just send them an email welcoming them, and making sure that they get the same link to all of the weekly report, the agendas, the meeting material. Now, except the privileged materials, anything that's protected by attorney-client privilege or executive session, those obviously we couldn't send along. That would start as soon as the town clerk tells me, tells Holly that so-and-so's been certified and here's their email address. And Carol's agreed to get email addresses from each of these candidates so we can do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
The second part of the amendment really is a cleanup. I think we had two items in the original policy. It lays out how we will order the warrant for the annual town meeting.
Mhm.
And in using it for the first time, we found that the enterprise funds were in there twice as item 8 and twice 11. And then at 7, we used a semicolon, but we continued to go on to number things. So it's really just I would consider this housekeeping by eliminating that second listing of the enterprise funds and putting all the appropriations in order in a slightly different format. Happy to answer any questions, but I do think this is, at least the first one, something we've talked about. Second was kind of housekeeping. And we'd like to put this in place sooner rather than later, so that as candidates file, we can, with your understanding, start to send them these informational packets.
Okay. And we talked about this, the first part of this already.
We did,
Did,
and I forget, I think the February workshop, if I remember.
I would like to make a motion to adopt operating procedures policy number 2019-02, amendment number 1, dated March 5th, 2019.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Julie?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the proposed amendment 4 to the financial management policy.
So these are some proposed changes to the current financial management policy that have not been discussed in workshop, and therefore they are touched upon in the budget. I'd like to address them very briefly here and then ask that you refer them or keep them in your budget workshop. Part of this has to do with trying to align enterprise funds, that monies that we put in the general fund towards the OPEB and towards the capital reserves. We don't have a corresponding statement in the enterprise funds side of the house. And on free cash, we have two different statements. On the enterprise fund side of the house, we talk about rolling 20% over. On the general fund side of the house, we talk about rolling some over. And so the question becomes, to what extent do we want to have some alignment? Any alignment that we can develop makes it easier for people to just remember, follow the patterns. And I think you've seen over the last couple of years, the more you have a policy and a pattern and follow the pattern, the better off your financial management and your financial future can be. The other reason that I would like to have this held in the budget for discussion on page 3 is the change to B5. Right now, there is no formulaic approach to establishing how much to set aside in the emergency reserve. And the thought is, and we talked a little bit about this on Saturday, rather than pulling a number out each year and then kind of arm wrestling over that, to the extent we perhaps have a formula that's perhaps become the subject of common agreement between the select board and the advisory committee, that I know to put into the budget, and they know that that's the process, and everybody kind of knows where we're going forward. I think that would save a lot of time and energy and perhaps put this issue to bed. And I would like very much to have the advisory committee be part of that discussion. So for this one, I would, since it is the first time it's formally in front of you, I would respectfully request that it be referred to workshop.
Yep, so it will. And as the advisory committee has retained a copy of this as well?
I believe we distributed one over the weekend to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting an extra copy because it's in your workbooks here tonight. But I think one member of the advisory committee was not there, and perhaps Jeff's had a chance to get it along to him, or if Jeff needs another paper copy, or we can get it scanned, or whatever works best.
I got 7.
You got
I
7.
think we got 7.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you gonna put that on one of your,
Copy of the one that I.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you need. If you want an email copy, or let me know, but
Copies of all the stuff that was distributed,
okay.
so I have a copy for
And you able to put that on your agenda?
the one that wasn't there.
well, truthfully, I'm hoping that we can have a common discussion on this in workshop, and
Mhm.
then, because you are in meetings, we can either adopt it jointly at the same time, or once it's agreed, it can be referred out to each body, and they can simply vote on it.
Okay. Either way.
So whatever workshop we put it to, we should invite the advisory committee to come.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that we'll have
We're
some
all
time. I
in
may
each
be
workshop
optimistic
together.
here, but I'm hopeful that we'll have
I
time
thought.
on the 20th to discuss some of these things. I mean, I do think we're gonna need one more workshop. I think we're gonna need to use the April 3rd for final actions.
Okay.
But we'll see where we are next Wednesday night.
Sounds
I
good.
will,
Yes,
I
John?
will put that on our agenda for our
Next
meeting
Wednesday?
next Thursday,
don't
the
know.
21st. And
No,
we can
but it
get
pushes it out.
a consensus
I
vote
disagree.
of the principle of
We don't have a
that
meeting next
formula, and what's
Wednesday.
outlined that was passed
I
out
don't
on
have that in my
Saturday.
book.
Okay,
We've already
We
kind
do,
of
it's in your
discussed it.
budget book.
right, that kinda makes
look.
sense.
It's just,
Doug, can I see your
But like I
budget
said, I
book
can put
for a
it on
moment
there.
in case I misspoke?
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes.
make a suggestion?
Sure.
We have the
Jeff is mentioning
18th.
next Thursday night
I
but then
was,
it
'cause
pushes
I
it
made an
out.
appointment.
into April's
And I can't-
workshop,
Okay, just-
where I think we've discussed the same thing a couple of times already. I think that somehow, I don't know, can you call a meeting before Thursday? So that we can all discuss it as a group on Wednesday at the workshop and then just vote it and clear it up? Or is that not possible? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know how many
Next
members, you know, they planned what they're.
Right.
Be here on Wednesday,
then-
not a problem.
And then these were amended.
Oh, my God.
I can
What's
post
that?
the
Okay, I just made an
meetings that
appointment.
night
I
at
won't
the
be there.
workshop for, you know, the advisory at the
I'll be
same
late.
time and come, however you all wanna do that.
I mean, I'm just wondering to clear it up quicker, like,
Right, it
it's,
wouldn't straight kick it back out.
it wouldn't push it out further into April. I think that we've discussed these couple of things a few times already as a board. And so I'm not trying to put pressure, I'm just stating that we have a workshop next Wednesday. He has a meeting next Thursday, which now pushes us into April.
My impression is it
so
would
I'm
be
not
received
sure.
well by the advisory committee. I'm just.
Yeah,
saying that from
right.
Previous discussion, I can't tell you.
But I don't know
Understood.
how quick
how we
you can
vote, but
actually
My impression from our discussion.
push your meeting a different
it would
night.
probably
I
be
gotcha.
received well.
I gotcha. Yes, Mike?
Do we have a budget workshop on March 20th?
Yes.
Yes.
Problem solved, right?
Well, that's the one I'm referring to, but you don't have a meeting until March 21st.
Well, we're together March
But
20th.
we'd be together,
could-
we would,
we
if,
could get together.
like when, on Saturday, we both called our boards to
Right.
order.
So, yeah,
So
March
can you
20th.
Yeah,
can you
it-
kick it back
We
to,
can do that. I'll
Okay.
email
Okay.
everybody tonight,
It-
see who can make it, and if
For-
a
for
forum
when are
can
you
make
talking?
it.
for Wednesday
I'll
for
post it
vote?
to
For
meet
March
on
20th.
That Wednesday.
Okay.
And be here.
That'd be
That's-
good.
Okay.
And I'll email
I'll be
Holly
late.
I think
one
most
way or the
people
other, if
plan
we got
I'll
a
be late
forum,
on the
we'll-
20th,
All right.
Excellent.
just
Yes,
so you know. I'll be late.
okay. Do you have something to say, Carter?
No, Diane was pointing out a conflict in what the two schedules were.
Yeah, I
just
looked at the wrong
wanna
schedule.
double check it in the morning.
Understood.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, don't,
I,
it's
I
okay.
do believe that with respect to
The
the
sooner-
reserve, that the advisory committee will be receptive to establishing a number and a process. That was my sense from the other day. Is that a fair?
Cause it's come up a
Sense.
couple of times already.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we've, yeah,
All right,
this
so
discussion's
we'll
been
meet
had
next
before.
Thursday and, next Wednesday, and we can
Great.
hopefully,
I'll do
Take
that.
care of
I'll send
business.
an email out tonight, and I'll email Holly if there's a quorum that thinks they can be there, then I'll just post it.
well, I hope, I mean, because we have some pretty good,
Well, we have the two schools,
yes,
Yep.
and it's our first dive into the warrant.
right.
Right.
And it's our first dive into the codification.
Right, that's a biggie.
It's a fairly good night. If they don't have a quorum for the 20th, I guess my question to this body would be whether you would have a quorum for the 21st.
Well-
Although I've got the schools already scheduled.
Yeah, I mean, we can't, I don't wanna, I mean, we got both schools coming in, we have Monty
Yeah.
Tech and, our partners at Narragansett, so.
I did not get the impression that people weren't gonna go to the 20th. I think
Okay.
people were on.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much. Thanks, Carter. So,
Can I ask a question?
yes,
Would it be easy enough to, the formula that we're proposing here, would it be easy enough to apply that to the actual results of FY 18 and 19 and project it into 20, what those numbers would have been? Had we used this formula then?
So what the formula would be, would have resulted in if you use the FY 19 is already in your budget book.
Mhm.
But I can get you an application, what it would be if we had applied it to FY 18's actual results.
Yeah, because I'd just be curious to see, is the trend close to what we have been doing, or is there a bigger gap than?
We'll get the number of what it would have been if we compared it to FY 18 year-end results for you.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
any other questions? I got nothing? Okay, great. Okay, right to first refusal for, going into old business, right to first refusal for 7 Millstone Lane.
This one had been held over. Diane was concerned about whether or not we were issuing our response to the right of first refusal too early on in the process. All I can tell you is that this has been done at different points in the process, depending upon how on top of things the sellers and the sellers' agents have been.
Okay.
Okay,
The other thing I will tell you is you don't have any money to exercise the right of first refusal in either event. A process I do hope we can do something about
Correct.
in the coming years.
excellent.
So I need some help with the correct wording for the motion, please.
I would respectfully request that this body move to waive the right of first refusal with respect to 7 Millstone Lane.
Templeton, Mass. 01468. So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion concerning 7 Millstone Lane? See none? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And you get, the paperwork will be completed and sent?
Yep,
Thank you.
get that off.
Any Board of Staff member comments?
Yes. I
Go
would
ahead.
just like to say that I really appreciated the Saturday budget workshop, and it was really nice to all work together. And that I appreciated the time that everyone put in for the advisory committee, the board, and that all of the department heads respectively came in on their days off.
Yeah.
It was well received. By this select woman, anyway.
Doug?
No, I agree, it was a good session, and I do appreciate the department heads taking time out of their Saturday to be here.
Great. Julie, anything?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I was glad to see it happen all in one day and not 4 evenings. Personally, I did enjoy that, so, yeah, I think we got a lot accomplished.
Yeah, great. I really do appreciate it. I have to thank Diane for stepping up. I had to leave unexpectedly, and I do apologize. I apologize to the advisory committee and my board and the people. I mean, I had a family issue I had to take care of. But again, I do appreciate, Diane, you stepping up, I really do
Welcome.
appreciate that. And obviously, the train still moves forward, so regardless of who's here, it's still stepping in the right direction, and that's going forward. And I want to thank everybody for their hard work and dedication, that's for sure. Anything else, have anything else to add?
Coffee and donuts were very welcome.
I enjoyed the bagels.
Well, Mallory did a nice job setting up for us, so thank her too, please.
Yes, Mallory did a fantastic job, in the absence of Holly being on her little getaway.
Yeah, Mona.
Thanks, Holly. Hope you enjoyed yourself.
It was well deserved.
Well deserved, well needed, I'm sure. Okay, anything else? You have something else to add?
Will we be having an executive session?
I do not need one unless the board has,
We have one more thing to add. Hold on, go ahead, Julie, I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's okay. I just wanted to thank the community as a whole and this body for the support in the recent death of my father. The family truly appreciates all of the support, and he will be missed, so thank you all. I appreciate it.
Takes a village, Julie, takes a
It
village.
does.
All right, and no executive session?
I don't unless the board has questions or issues.
I got nothing at this time. Does anyone else have any issues or questions?
no.
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
I have,
All right, second.
I have one and I have a second. Fantastic. Any other discussion?
Beat you on
I
that
see
one,
none.
Diane.
Julie?
You did, Julie?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks for joining us.